Where are we exactly? Is this Chinatown?
Yeah, we're in the heart of Chinatown, man.
Yeah. Chan's Watch Incorporated. I brought a gift for you.
He brought you a present you'll be delighted with.
This is this is me.
I told him you're very grumpy. It would take a lot to cheer you up.
Yeah. Okay, it's exactly what you said it do. Just take it away. So I'm here to get the bracelet on the B1 size to me.
Okay, how many names do you want to take?
I think probably one.
Only one? Okay.
Right. Thanks, man. I'll give you an extra $5 later. You can invoice me for that compliment.
Phil, what do I see here? Because there's the B1 original, and then this dreamy dreamscape with a very thick crystal. What is this?
Well, so what we have is an evolution of the B1 design. So we have, this is something we were talking about very early on in the process, and we really wanted to do it, but we didn't get around to it, and then we finally figured it out with the factory. So it's really, the original B1 has, this cantilevered case leaves this kind of negative space here. So we thought that was an opportunity to continue this design, this conversation we're having with the asymmetrical crystal. I think it may be, I'm just going to say it, and I'm sure someone's going to have a go at me. Someone will come after me. I think this is the first time anyone's kind of continued. There's been plenty of faceted crystals. I'm not sure if there have been any that continue this case design with the crystal, so literally as we have. So, and then it kind of just, then we have this Tahitian or black MOP dial, which I'm obsessed with, which continues our idea of always having sort of an organic counterpoint to the brutalist form of the bracelet itself. So that's what's happening.
And I think to really demonstrate it, because I did write an article that was mildly pejorative.
Just a hair
about, and we had a little heated conversation on Instagram when I alleged that there was a lot of inspiration from the Midas,
right?
As you self-incriminated on your own website.
Well, so, there is. I mean, look.
But then it's the volumes. I'm getting to the compliment, which is that you need to appreciate the volumes of the B1 to see how much extra thought and extra creative ideations happened off the basis of an asymmetric Midas style watch. And again, the more you dig into this watch, the more you see these nuances. But now, if this was a creative leap from that style of watch design, you need to see them in this angle to see how much that extra crystal, all of that volume of crystal changes the way you interact with this watch, because it is constantly warping and refracting and kind of distorting your...
Well, it makes the, generally speaking, that's actually very interesting what you say, man. And sorry to interrupt, but you said something that inspired me, because the thing about our relationship with a dial, for the most part, is that they are static. Mm-hmm. But when you have an asymmetrical crystal, as you say, because it's refracting and distorting, it means that thing is alive.
Yes.
It means you're always going to be seeing something different. You will never, depending on the light, the angle of the watch on your wrist, how you're holding, how you're looking at it, it's always going to be changing. And that's kind of an interesting thing, to have this living dial.
And that is actually what underscored my recent purchase of a Tank Louis Cartier that has this animated dial. And they call it an animated dial because it's mosaic. But each piece is laid a little bit differently.
Right.
Or it actually isn't mosaic. It's a mosaic appearance where there's these different etched greys that block and change depending on the angle of, and this excited me so much. And this is why, to put it in really pedestrian terms, people love a glass box, because if you look at a glass box watch from an angle, you see everything begin to warp and bend.
Sure.
And I think that's sort of the low-grade narcotic version of this absolute mind bender, which is, and you hadn't watched it on someone's wrist until when I said,
no, I know.
You've got to look at it from across the table.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because it's a totally different experience.
Yeah.
No one else has worn that watch. You're the first other geezer to wear that.
That's a special moment. and I think you need to look at this on other people as well, because you realize when you interact with it from across the table that it's not just you that is experiencing this animation effect.
Yeah.
And then when I was holding it in my hands as opposed to my wrist, I saw this scoop kind of wave effect of looking directly at the flat crystal. It creates this, suddenly it's like a wave of mother of pearl. So there's just so much happening with it. But to me, it's...
Well, you also have to remember that not only do we have an asymmetrical crystal, but the dial is slightly tilted. So you have all these things happening. You have all these different... It's almost like a black hole. You have all these different gravitational effects happening.
Yeah. And so you're working on production of this now.
Yeah.
But you are going to still make it quite limited, which is a fear-based decision, Mr. Toledano.
Tell
me about your mother.
Tell me about your terror. Look, we were overwhelmed and delighted and honestly kind of humbled by the reaction of the first one, and we're making more than we made the first time around. But we're not doing that because we want to limit it and create scarcity or demand. We're doing it because, well, one, financially, it costs so much. It costs a lot to make them, so we can't make a shitload of them. But two, I guess, I don't know. I'm not sure why. I feel like I guess because
it does feel a bit like throwing a dart at a dartboard, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
what
look,
number?
Yeah, and it is. You're right. It's sort of an excruciating quandary. And I guess part of our thinking is, maybe we just got lucky the first time, and it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Mm-hmm. And it's also terrifying because, in a way, they are small changes, but they're also quite radical. The crystal's a radical change, in a kind of, I think, beautiful and subtle way. But I don't know if people are going to like that. People are like, oh, I just like the way it was before. I mean, I don't know. So when you don't know,
someone
you're
that loved
cautious.
it first, it is the realization of the form in the sense that it's sort of, if this is a little bit of fuckery, this is a lot of fuckery.
Right.
So, and I don't think many people that sign up for a little bit of fuckery are going to be averse to a lot.
You could be right, man. I mean, look, it's weird because I'm like a weird contrarian club sandwich, right? So on the one hand, from an idea perspective, I really love, I'm so all in for I want to go as far as possible. But then I'm like, okay, we've gone this far. Maybe we shouldn't make that many just in case no one likes it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I love it. I really love it. And I know from myself as an artist that I always love the most recent thing I've made. Mm-hmm. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. He's like, oh, you've got to do when are you going to do a new case shape? And I said, look, we've just made this whole new thing. We've got to explore that shape for a while. Mm-hmm. And I don't think, I would hope that we don't ever stop making this shape, but we'll have another idea to accompany it. Yeah. But then you also want to have a new thing. I'm like this, just as an artist, that I'm kind of actually as a collector, I'm an evangelist. In the sense that when I really love something, I really want everyone else to love it too. I want them to see the things that I see. So when you are in a situation where people are trying on and they get excited about it, like you with this pearl thing, man, and the crystal, it makes me so happy that you see how excited, why I'm so excited about it.
We want more from our watches. We want them to engage us in a way, or we want them to do more. One of the other things about micro brands and small independents is that they can't meet the quality standards that the big brands set, like a Patek, an AP, a Rolex, on the wrist, and the feel of them is, and I feel that there's been a chasm between the micro brand space and that quality. Whereas, again, not just to flatter you, but I feel that one of the surprising things about this is that because of maybe the 904L steel, the feel of it and Daniel was saying that looks like a really expensive watch. Right. And I'm
very glad. I'm very happy to hear you say that, man. And honestly,
that's a new thing.
Right. Well, honestly, our quality. I mean, it's good, but I want it to be better. And there are things that I see that it just needs to be a little bit better. But going back to your earlier point about wanting more from watches, I think we're emerging from the cosplay era, where and I haven't got anything against those watches. I love a good Rolex sub or a Daytona, but I feel like that they were kind of cosplay. We were kind of pretending to be a very specific idea of what a man might be, a diver, you know, whatever, like a GMT.
A pilot.
Yeah, a pilot. All this kind of stuff. It's like a cosplay era. And now with this kind of stuff, with a lot of micro brand stuff, I think, and look, it's not like other people, really successful brands like MB&F and people haven't done that. But I feel like maybe we're entering into the imagination era. We're entering into the era where we wear watches that don't make us feel like we were a diver or a pilot, but make us feel like we're just audacious and imaginative.
And it's a much wider scope for self-expression.
That's right, and I'm so happy that's happening because it's so lovely to see the landscape blossom and open up.